You've booked the dream trip, but now you're looking at your phone, then looking at those giant $10,000 lenses on Instagram and wondering, do I need to be a professional photographer to bring home good memories? Baraka.
I've seen people win photo contests with an iPhone and people miss the shot of their lifetime because they were too busy fiddling with a complicated camera that they didn't even know how to use. The best camera is the one you know how to operate, while a lion is yawning 5 feet away from you. You're listening to Safari Scoop, where we take you inside the heart of Africa, one story at a time. I am Baraka.
And I am Magreth. Today we are bringing you another quick look into the wildlife moments and magic that makes African safari truly unforgettable. Welcome back. Today we are talking about something that gives a lot of travelers gear anxiety. You've booked the dream trip, but now you're looking at your phone, then looking at those giant $10,000 lenses on Instagram and wondering, do I need to be a professional photographer to bring home good memories? Baraka, you've seen every kind of camera in the back of a safari truck. What's the truth?
Mage, I've seen people win photo contests with an iPhone and people miss the shot of their lifetime because they were too busy fiddling with a complicated camera that they didn't even know how to use. The best camera is the one you know how to operate, while a lion is yawning 5 feet away from you. Today, I want to take the pressure off and share how anyone can capture the magic.
Let's start with the most common question. Can I just use my phone? In 2026, smartphone cameras are incredible, but are they enough for safari?
The honest answer is for 80% of your trip, yes. If a giraffe is walking past the vehicle or you're capturing a sunset over the Serengeti, your phone is perfect. But phones struggle with reach. If a leopard is 100 yards away in a tree, zooming in on your phone will just give you a blurry, pixelated mess.
So, what's the middle ground for someone who doesn't want to carry a suitcase of gear?
I suggest bridge camera or basic mirrorless setup with one good zoom lens. It gives you that reach without the complexity. But here's my biggest tip for phone users. Don't zoom, crop later. Take the photo at normal size, then zoom in and crop it on your phone afterwards. It keeps the image much sharper. And please, clean your lens. Dust is everywhere on a safari, and a quick wipe makes a world of difference.
We've touched on timing in our past episodes, but we keep getting follow-ups on the golden hour. Why are we so obsessed with that 5 a.m. wake-up call for the light?
It is a classic for a reason. Like we discussed when we looked at animal behavior, midday sun in Africa is just too harsh. It creates deep shadows and washed out those vibrant colors. That first hour after sunrise and the last before sunset acts like a natural filter. It's soft, warm, and as we always say, it makes every guest's photo look like a professional movie.
And to follow up on our safari etiquette chat, what if the sun goes down and we're still out? People are still asking if they could use their flashlight at night.
That is a big no for us. Flash startles the animals, and technically, it's usually just reflects off the dust and ruins the shot. At Greth Tours, our guides are experts at positioning the vehicles to make the most out of the natural moonlight or specialized dim red lights. If it's dark, switch to night mode and embrace that moody silhouette. A dark elephant against the purple sky is often more powerful than a bright, blurry close-up.
Baraka, we see this a lot on social media. People trying to get the perfect shot at any cost. What are the rules of etiquette we should follow?
This is so important. At Greth Tours, we have a wildlife first policy. If an animal looks stressed, its ears are pinned back or it's moving away, we back off. No photo is worth ruining an animal's day. A common mistake is people whistling or clapping to get a lion to look at the camera. Please, Don't do that. It's disrespectful and it ruins the experience for everyone else in the truck.
And what about the binocular trick? I've seen people holding their phones up to their binoculars.
It actually works. If you're a solo traveler on a budget, it's a great hack. But the real secret to a great photo isn't the gear, but patience. Our guides will sit with a sighting for 20 minutes to wait for that one moment when the cub jumps on its mother. If you're constantly rushing to the next animal, you'll miss the story.
And if you could give a non-photographer just one technical tip to make their photos look pro, what would it be?
I would say focus on the eyes. Whether it's a tiny bird or a massive buffalo, if the eyes are sharp, the whole photo feels alive. On a smartphone, just tap the screen right where the animal's eye is before you hit that shutter. It creates an emotional connection that people feel when they look at the photo later. It turns a snapshot into a portrait.
So, Baraka, the takeaway is clean your lens, respect the animals, and don't be afraid to put the camera down and just look sometimes.
Exactly. The best storage for these memories is in your brain. Use the camera to supplement the experience, not replace it. And don't worry, our guides are always happy to help you get that one hero shot for your living room wall.
Thank you so much, Baraka. To our listeners, we'll see you in the bush with or without a camera.
Thanks for joining us on a Safari Scoop.
If you enjoyed today's story, follow the podcast for more moments from the wild to vibrant cultures and stunning shores.
Until next time, stay curious,
Stay inspired, and keep Africa in your heart.